whatever you focus on expands, right? So if you have a million people focusing on love, you are expanding exponentially the universe in that moment. Everything is in constant expansion, constant motion forward, always. So, in answer to your question, yes.
Life is but a dream. Life is but a dream. Life is but a dream. Yeah.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to the Praise the Sun podcast, where I'm honored to have on my guest, Cindy Edison. Cindy, how are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. So nice to be here, Sage. Thank you for being patient with me. Been wonderful.
No problem. Divine timing is what we say. So I'm
Yeah.
so honored to have you here, and I'm happy to finally get to talk to you. It's a great honor and
Thank
privilege.
you.
So for the people who are not familiar with you and your work and what you do, could you give us a brief overview of that?
Yeah. Joseph is a collective of teachers, and they reside, if we can reside, they reside on the new earth. They represent for us the new earth vibration. They are an extension of, or an expanded version of the consciousness of Seth and Abraham. So you will hear with our message, you will hear like a continuum of the Seth and Abraham message about creating reality, mostly as we move forward and create this next segment of our journey together. So I am a conscious channel, blended channel, which means we are exempling the vibrational dominant expression of me and my soul. And this is how every channel channels. You're always channeling another aspect of yourself. And Joseph is where my soul is. My soul is part of that collective. So as we move forward, part of our message is that we are shifting this consciousness from being dominantly creating from the contrasting realm of the third dimension to the realm of love, of what is referred to as the fifth dimension or the new earth. So, what happens is that as we shift, consciously choose to shift, we become more of our soul vibration in our behavior, in our language, in everything, because we are at a point now where we have to be dominant in the soul's vibration. And we are becoming a match to the vibration that we are moving into, in other words. And so the channeling part of that is the more I focus on the vibration of my soul, of Joseph, the more I become it. And so it's not necessary to go into a meditation or anything like that. I'm not a trance channel. I am a conscious channel, which means I am involved. You will be hearing Joseph all of the time, and Joseph is the collective me. So the information comes from Joseph, and I chime in with the human part of that. So that's, in a nutshell, that's who we are.
Awesome. Well said. How did this awareness come to you? I'm assuming at some point in your life this started to come into your life.
Yeah, it was a long haul, actually. I hit rock bottom, I guess is what a lot of people refer to it as, back in 2003. And my life started to change. It's a long story that I no, not necessarily to go into now, but it took a long time. So it wasn't until 2009, and there was awakening and expansion throughout that whole time from 2003 to 2009 in many ways. And then in 2009, I've been in advertising for about 35 years. And I sat down one evening to write an article. And I was sitting there with my laptop, and all of a sudden I just started typing, "Dear Cindy." And that's when it happened. That's when the first connection, the conscious connection, came through. And there were several pages. They were talking to me about me. I was stunned through most of it, but very intrigued. And it started there, and then every night since then, actually. That's how it began.
Uh, would um would that be like a form of automatic writing?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, it
Okay.
was just funneling through. I mean, everybody can do this. It's not
Hmm.
anything, so many people refer to it or call it, you, me, everybody, every channel out there, every medium, every psychic. We're all doing the same thing, and it's just reading vibration is what it comes down to. It's vibrational communication, which is the universal language. So as you become more and more aware of your vibrational acuity, or what we refer to as your sixth sense, you it just happens. It's part of who you are, is the communicative ability to communicate with other aspects of you.
Yes, I love reading vibrations. I love the way you said that because I'm currently kind of like aggregating a bunch of different information, trying to put together the parallels between like the channel state and like the flow state that many let's say sports people get into, where they're just
Yeah.
like in the heat in that moment they just know exactly what to do, and you know, and I'm
Yeah.
just kind of looking for those things to like show people that these are very much the similar, or if not
Yes.
the same state. It's just reading the vibrations and being in that moment.
Exactly. It's exactly
Yes.
right. Yeah. It's accessing another part of who you are. Yeah.
Right. So that sixth sense, is that just like are we reading energy from like a different aspect of ourselves, like a higher self, like the soul self? If is
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There are some people who are focused on communicating with archangels and Mother Mary, for instance, masters, but they're all reading vibration. They're translating vibration. That's what it is. That's how people talk to trees and to mountains, because everything has a soul. Everything that is made by God, who we refer to as the collective soul. Everything has this soul part of them. We refer to it as the soul. It is the expanded version of who we are as this physical aspect. So, yes, all channeling is just accessing another realm of consciousness, really. It's another vibrational place. We don't like to put levels to it because it's just different. It's different. And the more aware you become of who you are, the more access you have to your abilities of who you really are, the abilities of your soul.
Brilliant. And I understand not wanting to put the levels to it, because I can understand how sometimes people kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, the way they interpret that can be difficult for them.
I mean,
Um,
some people say, and we understand, some people say I was in the 15th realm of consciousness. You know, as that's great, but we as as limited humans have no idea what that means. We have no, we can't be aware of something that we're not aware of. you know,
exactly.
I mean, the fifth dimension is enough for me to get there. I understand what's going on there to the degree that I have the awareness of it,
Right.
but there's so much more than that. So
Yeah.
we don't like to use levels because it implies a better than, and that's just not the case. It's just different,
Exactly.
you know. Yeah.
So how does a collective conscious kind of form? How does that
Mm.
begin?
Well, of course, through vibrational agreement. Our message is all about vibrational agreement that we have kind of deemed, Cindy has kind of deemed, actually, the most powerful, that's probably not the right word. Um, Vibrational agreement is really, in my opinion, the only universal law that uh, all the other universal laws fall from, because you cannot have a manifestation without vibrational agreement. So the collectives come together with a purpose, just as we do. And the collective purpose of our group, of this group, which is constantly expanding, by the way. And there are many teachers teaching from this consciousness of the new earth, all in different forms, all speaking to different audiences. And we're talking about resonation here, really, which is also vibrational agreement. So the collective forms with a purpose. Just like you have a purpose and I have a purpose and everybody has a purpose, the universe does nothing without a purpose. So it comes together, and our purpose, the reason for our group, is to assist humanity in moving forward to the next realm of experience for the physical aspect of us, which will be the fourth dimension, and then into the new earth after that.
When you say expanding, are you talking about the overall community of like spiritual people on the planet, or are you saying your specific community is expanding, or uh, which part
You're
was
going to have to
expanding?
be more specific about that. What was I referring to when I said that expanded? I use the word a lot. So what are you
Um,
referring to?
you were talking about, I think, channeling and saying you said that it was expanding, and I wasn't sure if you were talking about the community that.
Well, yes, everything is always expanding. Everything is always expand. That's what the universe does, is expand. That's all it does, is grow. And that's the reason we're here, is to
Right.
expand this aspect. And by our expansion of the physical aspect, we're also expanding the soul of me, of you, and the Godhead, the soul,
Right.
the universe. Every time you think of love, or anytime you feel peace or joy or anything, those are emotions that are in alignment with who we really are. And that focus causes expansion. You've heard Esther say, I'm sure, many times, and many people, whatever you focus on expands, right? So if you have a million people focusing on love, you are expanding exponentially the universe in that moment. Everything is in constant expansion, constant motion forward, always. So, in answer to your question, yes, everything is expanding. Yeah, always.
Yes. Are there a certain group of like universal laws that are just like, you know, they are what they are, like
Oh, sure.
you exist and you will always exist? Is that like a universal law?
Well, the 12 universal laws. There's 12. Some people say there's 9. We have rewritten them. I have not put them out there yet. We have written an evolved version, which is more vibrational, really. Most of what we do is an evolved version of what was written in the third dimension, because nothing that we have here will go with us there, only the love. So, yes, there are very specific universal laws. I can't name them off the top of my head, but you can look them up anywhere. But they are all vibrational at their base. And one of the universal laws that we talk about and that Esther's been talking about forever, the law of attraction, right? The law of polarity, the law of oneness. There are so there, and they're all connected vibrationally. Without vibrational agreement, there is no manifestation. So, for instance, vibrational agreement happens when you manifest an emotion on something. That's a vibrational law of attraction. The law of attraction is vibrational. Of course, every one of them is. So if you are focused on the contrast dominantly, you are creating your reality in this realm from that vibration of contrast, which means contrasting to who you really are, to the vibration of who you really are. It's not bad. We would say you will not enjoy it, but it's not bad. There's no good or bad. It's just different. And so when you are focused on something, you are calling out to the universe for its match, for its non physical match. And as your focus continues, you are bringing it into your physical experience, and you have vibrational agreement, which results in the experience of what you're asking for. It's all vibrational, every bit of it. So without vibrational agreement, there's no experience. So to me, that's the most powerful, and I don't think it's said that way in any of the universal laws. I put it in there myself.
With the and I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but with the Hermetic principles fall into the universal law.
I don't know what they are.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's okay. It's
I'm going to look them up though.
yeah,
I never heard that word before.
yeah, it's it was said that Hermes Trismegistus, um, I don't remember what time period this was, but he brought forth the Hermetic principles, which was the law of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. And
Yeah.
and yeah,
Sounds like they're in line with you can look up, you can Google, universal laws and you'll get all kinds of responses. But yeah, all those are in there.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we definitely, it feels like, a lot of the channelers have been talking about, like the upcoming changes and the things that we need to do as individuals to make sure that we're doing the work, doing the personal development work. What are the things that we should be focusing on as individuals to prepare ourselves and get ourselves in alignment better?
Well, we always tout alignment, 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 which is the next step on our collective and individual eternal pathways, our soul's pathways. This next step for us is a consciously taken one. It must be done consciously because it is chosen. Up until this point of our journey through this third dimension, we have been taught and have been experiencing the contrasting vibration dominantly, creating our realities dominantly from that vibration of contrast, which is why we have the chaos we have, which is why we have famine and murder and war and fights, and why relationships don't work, because everybody's out of alignment. We are blended beings, and we are blended. Every aspect of the soul is a blended being, which is made up vibrationally of the soul vibration of us and the vibration of the realm of consciousness that we are choosing to experience. For us, it's this third dimension of contrast. And when we create from that contrast, we live the results of that. Now we're at a place where our blending needs to shift. This is the shift in consciousness. It's really a shift in perspective. And the shift is our perspective from the contrast to the soul's perspective of love. Until that blended vibration of us is dominant in our soul, we stay here. In order to step into the fourth dimension, which will be our next experience, we must be at a minimum of 51%, let's say, if we're using percentages, 51% of our vibration that we are emitting and asking from the universe. We are emitting a vibration in every moment by way of your focus. And up until this point, we have been creating by default from the contrast. It's evident in every area. It's evident. And if we weren't, we wouldn't be here, because we are dominantly focused in the contrast, which is the vibrational agreement. And that is what the universe is responding to, what we're putting out there dominantly. So when we shift our focus to that of our soul, and we begin to conjure new beliefs and to make decisions and choices based on what our soul's perspective is, which is love and peace and joy and abundance and clarity, we will stay in the third dimension. So our job at this point, this segment, is to recognize the blendedness of our vibration and to begin choosing consciously away from the contrast. We are choosing our way out of this dimension by choosing love. And that's how you walk the soul's eternal path, is by choosing love all the time, It's not easy. We know it's not easy. The momentum that has been built over eons and eons of time that we've been here, excuse me, journeying through this realm of contrast is powerful. The momentum is powerful. Our beliefs are conjured, have been conjured, and are there and are out of alignment. They are the foundation for what we create. And if your belief is out of alignment, the experience that you create from that belief is also out of alignment. You cannot create an in alignment experience from an out of alignment position. So that's what we recommend, focusing on your own alignment. Esther has been teaching for years that one in alignment is more powerful than a million who aren't. And that is because the power of the soul vibration is the most powerful force of the universe. So as we begin to shift and conjure a new belief system, we teach that to move forward a belief system that is in alignment with where we're going. We don't take our beliefs, we've been taught our beliefs from day one that are out of alignment through our parents who were taught their beliefs, our teachers, religions, society, government. We're taught out of alignment beliefs, and we begin to create our own realities, our own experiences from those out of alignment beliefs. And then, everybody wonders why they're so miserable. That's why.
Yes, well said. Thank you. Wow. So when we say 4D, how does that look planetarily? Is like the planet going to change? How does that look to us?
The planet doesn't change. We change. We change. Even as we move into the new earth vibration, some people are saying, we're going to wake up one day and we're just going to be on the new earth, and that's not going to happen. The new earth vibration is the complete opposite of where we are now. We will not be in this body. This body is not necessary in that vibration. There is no immune system necessary. There's no 5 physical senses. That's why we're touting the 6th sense, your vibrational acuity. Everything is done vibrationally. So the physical body this body is built for the contrast and built for the terrain of the 3rd dimension. The 5th dimension has none of that. It is just an exchange of love, really. And we're creating it as we move forward. We're also creating a new aspect of ourselves. So the 4th dimension we refer to as the bridge to the 5th dimension, because it goes back to this shifting our dominant creative vibration, which has been dominant in the contrast forever. Which is why we called our books Allow Your Soul to Lead, because we have no frame of reference for this next step. Because we don't know how to create consistently from love. We have not done it. We don't know how to do it. And I say I'm surprised. I'm really not. Of all the clients I have, and we go through these processes, and they say, this is so hard. I said it too. It is hard from the perspective of the human who's out of alignment. It's very hard. But from our perspective, the in alignment soul perspective, it is a choice. We are in a choosing ground now. This is what we refer to as the earth now, is a choosing ground. And what's going on your planet right now is the amount of light that is coming in there being requested by everyone waking up. Everybody's waking up. You've noticed too, I know, Sage, that you've had many on too. There are teachers, channelers, psychics, mediums coming out of the woodwork, all here at the perfect time to assist in humanity moving forward. And every time someone steps up and says, okay, I'm ready, let's go, more light comes in. As more light comes in, being summoned from the universe, it's exposing what most are referring to as the darkness. Of course, we refer to it as the contrast. There's been a lot of hidden agendas, let's say, since the beginning of your time, since the beginning of the time you stepped foot in this realm, because you've always been creating not only dominantly from the contrast, but from outside of yourselves. And when you create from outside of yourself, you are creating from someone else's belief, someone else's experience, someone else who you think knows more than you. And now this shift in perspective requires a responsibility to yourself, to your own vibration, because that's what manifests everything for you. Your relationships, your careers, you want to call them that, your lifespan, your body, your health, everything is vibrational. And you are the only one who can control or create from your unique vibration. So you must go inside. We recommend to get chummy with your soul, with your guides, and begin conversations and include them in your daily lives. And begin to shift consciously your choosing. Build a new belief system that is in alignment with your soul's perspective. This is how you move forward. So when you step over the line into the fourth dimension, you're on the bridge, and that means you are dominantly creating from your soul's perspective as opposed to creating from the contrast. And then you move very quickly. You know, we have said that this journey can be boiled down to when we first stepped foot in the third dimension, which was the whole point, we knew nothing about who we really were, was the whole point, the choosing to expand the aspect and the soul. We begin creating immediately. We didn't know why or how we were creating, but we are creators. You know, we're our source creators. It's inherent in us. So we begin creating, and we begin creating in our first lifetime here, thousands and thousands of years ago. 99% of the time we're creating from the contrast, from outside of ourselves, from what we see, what we hear, what we choose to believe, from our own experiences created from outside of ourselves. 99% from the contrast, 1% from who we really are, the love. We leave, we come back, we die, there's no death. We kick off, there's no death. We croak, as Esther says, thousands and thousands of times. Every time we come back, that physical vibration of us, the blended physical part of us, has been lying dormant on the timeline where we left it until the soul refocuses and says, let's go back and expand Cindy. And Cindy stands up and says, okay, I'm ready to go. Now, my soul has expanded from the last time I left, right? So I have that ability to expand by way of my soul. So 99-1, 90-10, 85-15, 80-20, and we're coming up through all of these timelines through the third dimension. Lifetime after lifetime, thousands of years. Here we are in this lifetime. Some of us, many of us, are at 50%. Some of us know that. We're at 50-50, where we're creating 50% of the time from our soul and 50% from the contrast. As soon as we make that choice to create consistently from our soul at 51%, we've stepped onto the bridge. And then it begins the other way. Then we've expanded our awareness to the degree that we know that we are creators. We know how to create, and we begin creating consciously and deliberately. And then we go from 49 contrast to 51 soul, then 40, 60, 20, 80. We get to 99% soul, 1% contrast. We step over the line into the new earth vibration where there is no contrast at all. So the bridge is like, it's a space where we can, as Esther would say, get our sea legs. And we begin to shift our consciousness deliberately and consciously to create from our soul.
Well said. When we're creating from the contrast, what state of mind is that we're creating from? Is
Fear.
that fear? Okay.
We're creating from, but you know what, Sage? It's mostly habitual, We do it, you hear people say things like, I know it's bad, but it's just who I am. It's just the way I am. It's just the way I am. But they don't really think about what they're doing. When we start to look at our beliefs and we realize, you know, there is a rampant unworthiness belief that the human aspect holds collectively and individually, and it runs in many different tributaries and throughout our lives. We are unworthy. We are taught we are unworthy when we couldn't be more worthy than we are, but we are taught unworthiness. And from that one out of alignment belief, many out of alignment beliefs unfold and create our realities. So it's the contrast, people refer to it as the fear, because fear is a manifestation of the contrast. No fear here.
Um, can that unworthiness be traced throughout any certain point in history, or is it just kind of like ancestral?
It's a vibration.
Oh, okay.
It's a vibration. Unworthiness, when you have out of alignment emotions, your out of alignment emotions are your first indication of what you're leading with, of what your dominant vibration is, what you're calling out to the universe for in every moment. So if you feel unworthy, if you feel rejected, if you feel unloved or angry, pissed off, sad, loneliness, every out of alignment emotion is an indication from our loving ego, who is here to assist us in this contrast, that we are out of alignment and that our dominant vibration in that moment is out of alignment. And if we don't shift it, if we don't recognize and shift it, then consider it, decipher it, then we are creating a pathway to an experience of that out of alignment vibration. And we won't be happy there, obviously. There's no happiness in the contrast. But, you know, we have a choice in every moment to choose the soul's perspective or the contrasting perspective, or fear or love. And, we don't like to use the word fear, but we do sometimes for these conversations. Fear is an emotion, it's a manifested emotion from the contrast. Anytime you feel those, if you're in a relationship that is what you consider to be toxic, it's an out of alignment relationship, obviously. And most are, because everybody on this planet today is out of alignment dominantly, or they wouldn't be here. When you are dominantly, which is why at 51%, you're moving into the fourth dimension, you become a different aspect of who you are, because now you have a different vibrational makeup. And when you are creating dominantly from your soul vibration, your body changes. Mine has changed. Um, Not to the degree that anybody on the outside of me could probably see it, but from the inside. Slowly, it changes to accommodate what you're dominantly sending out for. Everything is vibrational. So by the time we get to the fifth dimension, we won't look like this anymore, which is probably, a good thing for some of us. But I forgot what I was talking about. So, yeah, I get on tangents. Sorry, I get off on tangents.
No,
But
it's okay.
deciphering emotions is our first indication of what you're dominant in. And that's, it's an easy thing to recognize. Maybe not to shift, but it's an easy thing to recognize, certainly.
Thank you. The shift, once we don't have these bodies anymore, are we talking about a shift that's going to take a couple centuries, or how long will this?
You got to take time out of the element.
Mm,
Time is a third dimensional construct,
right.
which is why your soul's eternal path is event driven. And the events are events of our understanding. You can't move spiritual, you can't move into a different realm with no understanding. When you have an understanding of your own self, when you have those aha moments and you go, I feel that, or I knew that, or whatever that people, everybody knows what I'm talking about here. That is an event of understanding. And the more you understand who you really are, the next step is revealed to you. So there's no, a lot of people say, I don't understand why this isn't working. Especially spiritual teachers. I have a lot of those, and they say my business isn't working. I've put this into play, and I put this into play, and we always say, but you're putting third dimensional components into a fifth dimensional creative space, and you can't do that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You've got to lead everything with love. So when you say, well, how long is it going to take? You're out of alignment with the desire. It's not a question we would ask, and it's not answerable because it's all dependent on your own individual awareness and your choosing, your choice to move forward and to choose something else. Nobody can choose it for you. So we can't say it's going to happen in one generation or two generations. We're saying it's available now. It's available. The new earth is available in its non-physical form for humans. You can't go there in this body. You're not going there. But you can communicate. Josef is new earth vibration. That's what their dominant vibration is the new earth. So when I'm speaking with them or as them, we are talking from that vibration. They're there, but I'm not there. I'm there vibrationally. And I visited it vibrationally in meditations with them. It's beautiful. And it will be how you see it individually and uniquely, the beauty of it. But you can't bring a third dimensional construct there. It doesn't work. Just like you can't bring a third dimensional belief with you. You can't bring anything that's not in alignment. When we croak here, when we die off, there's no death. Every time you die, there's no death. The only thing you take with you, or anybody takes with them, is what is in vibrational agreement with where they're going. So all the love that you have accumulated and experienced while you've been here in this lifetime ascends with you, with your soul. The contrasting vibration of us, the physical blended part of us, remains on the timeline where there's vibrational agreement for it. So you have to think in terms of vibrational agreement. You cannot get into the fourth dimension if you're still dominant in the third. You can only be in one dimension at a time, vibrationally.
Thank you. I I was thinking about the concepts that you were saying, the 3D concepts of business. Some of my other background outside of spirituality is finance, so I do a lot of finance stuff, and I study different businesses and stuff. And I'm curious to understand further which aspects of the way that business is conducted now is won't be how we conduct business in the future. Is it because a lot of businesses at the forefront of their mission is just not love, like they're just kind of transactional relationships, or
Well, you have to understand that when you're creating from the soul's perspective, when you're creating from the space of who you really are, you're creating from a place of joy and of love and peace and abundance. And when you have that as your, I would put it in a mission statement. If I was writing a mission statement for a business today, that would be first and foremost. It brings me joy. And when you are creating from something that brings you joy, whatever you create will then be of joy, and it will have the characteristics and the components of the vibration that you created it with, which is why when you create from the contrast, you get the mess. You see? So when you set out for a business in finance, for instance, we would suspect that you love numbers, that you love abundance of money. How fun is that? But because it's joyful, not because it's in competition with somebody. It's not, it's not that. It's joyful. and you share your joy by helping others. Any business that is, anything, we would say never do anything that's not joyful.
Right.
Esther had a question one time I thought was just so beautiful. A guy came up to the stage and said, how do we know when we're choosing a career if it's the right career for us? And Esther said, and this is all not verbatim, but it's kind of like this. Esther said, well, define career. And the guy said, well, we go to high school for 4 years, and then we go to college for 4 years, and we pick a major, and then we get out of school, and we have this career, and we do it for the rest of our lives. And Esther said, well, she said a lot of things actually, but basically what she said was, if we were you, and we are, we would make our career, I forget what it was. Shoot. Living happily ever after. And whatever would support that, we would do. And I thought that was the most beautiful answer. When I heard that, like, absolutely, yes. Why would we not set out to be happy and joyful and to create a life on this beautiful planet of joy? Doesn't make any sense. So she's saying to create from your soul's perspective, in our words, to create from your soul's perspective, lead with joy. Lead with joy. Your career is living happily ever after. Doesn't get much better than that.
I love that. Your
Yeah,
career is
me
living
too.
happily ever after.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's beautiful. And I will definitely admit I've definitely struggled with those two worlds of spirituality and finance because I do love numbers and I do love charts. I look at charts every day and I just love that aspect of it, and I love spirituality as well. So
yeah.
I've just been really struggling trying to figure out what is my divine purpose. I mean, I know the podcast is that, but I just wasn't sure what I was supposed to bring
But it can
further
be
to the
so
planet.
many things. One of the things she said in that answer too was, you are multidimensional beings. Why would you pick one thing to do for your entire life? Unless it's bringing you joy.
Yeah,
But there are so many unhappy people, doing jobs because somebody told them to,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I think it's also the aspect of so like, well, at least the belief system of I won't at least initially be able to support myself if I choose to follow my passion. If I have a burning desire to be an artist and I just want to make art for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
how do I get out there in such a competitive market where everyone's doing art and I have to
Well,
market
see, you
myself, I
took
have to do
yourself
this.
out of you took yourself out of it. Everybody does this. Everybody says this. Well, yeah, but I can't really do what I want to do because it doesn't support me. Well, with that belief, no, it won't, because it's the belief that's stopping you. But
Right.
when you are creating from, and a lot of people don't get this. A lot of people argue with us about this. Well, you don't understand third dimension. But when you are creating from joy, you're creating from a space that is abundant. You cannot live in lack and be in alignment. There's no vibrational agreement. There's that phrase again, you know? And this is a trust thing. This is where allow your soul to guide you again comes in. Every new level of awareness requires a new level of trust, which is why we don't know how to do this, right? So you have to look at the vibration and the perspective of the soul, which is abundance of everything: joy, peace, excitement, adventure, passion, abundance of everything, and money. The abundance doesn't say, well, we're going to give you abundance of peace, but we're not going to give you any money. That's such a human thing. It's not like that, you know. But when you're leading with joy, people don't do it because they're in fear. They stay in fear. Well, I can't support myself. This, we're always supported, first of all. We're always supported, always. But you have to believe that. You have to believe it. I mean, I'm living it. I'm living it. And it's not easy all the time, but it's there all the time. Baby steps and trust and get the relationship with your guides and with your soul going so you can expand your awareness to understand that. I mean, Jesus was talking about it 2,500 years ago. We still don't get it. You know, everybody talks about it. Everybody talks about it. But the fear, the fear, the fear, the fear, you know. So
I think a lot of us is just a bit hard headed. I will
well,
wholeheartedly admit that I'm a bit hard
it's tough.
headed.
It's a tough shift to make. It is. And I did it gradual. It's a gradual shift. It doesn't happen overnight, obviously. I mean, think about the momentum that we have built from the contrast in creating from the contrast throughout all of these lifetimes. I've been here more than 75,000 lifetimes. That's a lot of momentum to build, creating from the contrast. So then all of a sudden, we come in and say, not only us, but we come in and say, hey, you don't have to believe that anymore. Believe this instead. People go, yeah, right. But this teaching isn't anything new, especially if you read, even in the Bible, after Revelation, they talked about the new earth. It's the last chapter, by the way. Talking about the creation of this new world. And it is the next step for the human aspect. And it is, again, it must be done consciously because we must be aware of what we're choosing. Up until this point, we've pretty much been choosing by default, by what somebody told us to choose. Or somebody said, this is what you want to believe, or this is what you should think. And this is how you should act. This is what you should look like. This is yada, yada, yada. And it's just not like that anymore. It's time for self-responsibility. And it all starts with being responsible for our creative force, which is our vibration.
Which is our vibration.
Yeah, all comes back to that, always.
And vibration is also alignment. What we're in
You're
alignment
always
with.
in alignment with something. You're either in alignment with the contrast or in alignment with your soul. And from those two positions are unlimited opportunities for experience. And when you're creating from the contrast, which we do every day, we are constantly creating from the contrast, all we knew up to this point. You're in alignment with the contrasting vibrations. You're asking the universe to give you this experience of contrast. And of course it does. It loves us.
Right.
The universe says, oh, of course, I'm going to give you what you're asking for vibrationally. Because I love you and I just assume that's what you want. And most of the time we have no idea what we're asking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
As we go through these changes, um, as humanity goes through these changes, are there any particular things that are like coming up energetic wise that people should be aware of? Like what is our short term look like the rest of the year or next year or the following year? Like
It looks like turmoil to us. Looks like a big old traffic jam. Um,
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot going on. And we're just going to say this. It is your ability to choose your experience of what's happening always, not only now. But the next, I don't want to give it a time. There's no timeline. It's all dependent on us. But we would say that moving into the next year, there are a lot of things that are happening, obviously. And the contrast is currently leading on some fronts. And we would say this is the best time to begin focusing on your own alignment. Keep in mind that regardless of what's happening out there, you still create your own reality. You still create your own experience of it. We would say be aware, but don't participate in the contrast. If you must participate, share love. Focus on love. There is nothing more powerful that any one person can do um, from outside to support humanity at this point than to focus on love and focus on peace and create it for yourselves. What happens on your planet is totally up to you, is up to humanity. We don't control you. Um, you must choose what you prefer. And it is done individually first, and then, of course, collectively. And we would say, jump on your own bandwagon and get in touch with your soul. This is the time of choosing. Now, it's time. It's time to begin choosing and to become aware of who you really are. This is the point. And everything that's happening now must happen in order to move forward. You must be presented with the choice and consciously and understand what you're choosing. So if you are going to support something or someone, support with love. Support love. That's what we would say.
Support love. I wholeheartedly agree with that, and um, we will have to choose. I mean, if there's difficult times coming ahead, we have to either say that's what I want or that's not what I want. But we have to choose.
Have to
It's
choose.
yeah,
You have to choose now. Consciously choose.
right.
Understanding that we are eternal.
Mm.
Remember, we are eternal, and every person who's on this earth right now is here at this specific time for this purpose of choosing. Everybody, everybody.
When I think back and look back at maybe some of the ancient civilizations that are very much in tune with spirituality, it was kind of like at the basis of how they express themselves and their existence. Um, Perhaps Atlantis or something like that. What are the differences there between how they created reality versus how we create? There's like um, here on this planet we have spirituality, we have different religions and stuff, but um, for people who are completely not into that, maybe atheists or something like that, they say there's no evidence of that, which I understand. It's
It's a belief.
spirituality. It's a
Yeah,
belief.
of course.
Yeah. So what was different back then that allowed a large group of people to express spirituality in such a way that it was just like, yes, this is what it is, versus kind of now where it's a bit fragmented, I guess, with different belief systems.
Well, certainly different belief systems and the evolution of the human. I mean, look what, I mean, in our lifetime, I mean, I'm a lot older than you are. And, I remember the telephone on the wall, and I miss those times, frankly. I miss those times just not being home. You can't get me, I'm not home. And before computers, I mean, think about what technology has done. But it still always comes down to the awareness of the human, of who it really is, the belief, the faith, and vibration. The vibrational agreement never changes.
Mm.
The vibrational components never change. They just keep expanding and creating something new, creating something new. So we would say there's no difference at all in the way you create when you're talking about creating vibrationally, but in the awareness of who you are, yes, because you've evolved. Everything
Mm.
always evolves, everything evolves. So the more information we have, I mean, I frankly, I'd rather go back to the 60s. I would I prefer the 60s over this. But, because there was more time spent, you know, looking inside than outside. unfortunately, and that's my own opinion, of course. But we would say that, creation has always been vibrational. The universes react the same. The universal laws don't change. We just continue to discover more of them.
Mm. Will we ever kind of create communities like that again? I
New
know we have
Earth.
like online communities, but that's not the same
It's
thing.
not this. It's not even
It's
close.
not even close.
Not even close. The new Earth will be, the third dimensional Earth will continue to expand its technology, of course. The new Earth will have a whole new system. It's a whole new system built from the perspective of the soul. Can you imagine what that's like? I've
Love.
seen glimpses of this. It's pretty cool. I've seen it in other places for another conversation, but it's a whole new way of doing things, because vibration is at the core, and it is at the forefront of everybody and everything. So everything is created vibrationally. I don't know if you've heard before. I'm sure you have. That the masters, they create in the moment by focus because there's no resistance. And that's how we will create on the new earth too, by focus. But everybody will be in alignment. It'll be beautiful. A whole different kind of technology, that we can't even fathom at this point. Not this human.
Right. I mean, I mean, AI seems kind of mind blowing, the things that we've created now. So I can only imagine what the future looks like is far beyond what we could even think of currently. I
It
mean,
won't be, yeah, the AI thing will not be part of that in that form, of course. It's still
right,
programmed by a human. You know,
right,
it will never do what a human do because it's not vibrational.
right.
So
Yeah,
it's a whole new everything. It's a whole
right,
new everything. It's too big to even talk about, which is why we take baby steps because it's all new to us,
right.
and we can't, if we can't understand it. I only get the information that I can understand to pass on, you know. They don't give us, any of us, any information that we can't understand. What would the point be? There'd be no purpose in it,
Mm,
you know.
right. Thank you. So, my last two questions that I ask all of my guests. What does love mean to you?
Oh, oh, it's indescribable. It's alignment. I discovered that actually, that the experience of authentic love is the experience of alignment with your soul. It's oneness, and it's not dependent on anybody outside of me. It's self love first. You know, they've taught me so much about all of these things, and one of the big things that they taught me was that you can never love anyone else more than you love yourself, which kind of explains a lot of things. But what I discovered that the word love is thrown around in so many areas and to mean so, and gets blamed for so many things, and it's just not the case. It's um, when you experience alignment, you'll know what love is. That's what I say.
I had a feeling it would be alignment.
Yeah, yeah, has to be.
Yes, lovely. And the last question is, what does the sun represent to you?
The sun.
Praise the Sun podcast.
Oh, the
So we talk
sun.
about the sun a little bit.
So soothing. I love the sun. It's so soothing. Oh man. I don't know if I could put that into words. Oh my God. I love the sun. It's just like a new beginning. Every day is a new beginning for me because of the sun. When the sun comes up, even on cloudy days, I can find the sun. The sun is the bright spot, always for me, anyway. Love the sun. I love the sun. Praise the sun. I love the sun.
That has been by far my favorite response. So
Yeah,
I'll have the audience know we found someone who loves the sun as much as me.
I love
So
the sun. Yeah.
thank, thank you so much, Cindy. It's been an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you and learn more?
Thank you, Sage. I appreciate it too. Teachingsofjoseph.com. Everything's there. You can connect to YouTube there, Instagram there. You can find us on Instagram. The books are there. They'll flip you. You can get a, well, you can see them behind me, but you can get an overview of them there, and they'll click you over to Amazon. Um, Everything's there. There are videos about the human evolution on the front page. We would suggest that people watch that to give you an idea of where we came from and where we're going.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sage. This is delightful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you everyone for listening. Praise the sun. Talk to you later.